Hello and welcome. I think you should all be able to see and hear us now. It's going to be really distracting because we have a screen next to us which is playing at the time that you guys see it, which is a few seconds before or after we're actually talking. So we're seeing ourselves really in the past. Yeah. But if you could just let us know that the sound is okay, everyone can hear us, that would be absolutely fantastic. We've got a few in, a few of the regular suspects. How's it going, Frederick? Tanya's in, Michael Brayer's in, Macca's is in, and Mr. Rob Camp. I hope you're all well. Excuse the overlay that we have, which is this lovely map around us. You'll see it around here. It's not the usual Speak Friend, but all of the Speak Friend files are on my computer at home, so I do need to bring them in and upload them. I was very unorganised. So I do apologise, but I think it's all right. I think you can see us. Sounds good, says George. Sound is a little bit faint. Okay, let me see if I can turn us up a little bit.
Just shout.
Before we get stuck in, just bear with me. It's very odd because we're looking off to the side. Here we go. Let's add a little bit of gain. Everyone likes a bit of gain, right? And the other thing you could do, Tanya, turn your telly up. That should be a lot louder, so let us know if that is okay. We've got a few people in, so before we get started we'll say hello. But I would like to introduce Kalman, who is joining me tonight.
Hello.
On Speak Friend, I do like to get, anyone is more than welcome, anyone can come on Speak Friend, but I do like to kind of get people who are a little bit more experienced, especially in the Great British Hobbit League, have a bit of background within the league, and it's better players than me, which I know is not hard to find. It's not hard to find.
Just go to a random on the street.
But yeah, so if you've watched Speed Friend before, you know what it's about. We're kind of going to talk about the league, the state that the league's in, the events that have been or the upcoming, and other subjects in between. So please do put any questions or anything like that you've got in the chat and we'll address them. There are some posts that I put on the Facebook group, which I'll check, but the last time I checked them, there wasn't that much on there. I know someone was asking for some advice on Iron Hills and Erebor, which is right up your street, Kalman.
I hope I can give it.
So
it's been a while.
Yeah, we'll come to that later on. But we've also got some subjects as a bit of filler if it does get quiet. But make sure that you do get some questions in and keep the chat rolling. So before we do get stuck in, I'll just say some hellos, and then we'll get going. We'll talk a little bit about Callum, Callum's background in the game. I keep calling him Callum. I mean, he's been here all day.
Yeah, thanks, Dylan.
It's all right, John.
Great.
You know why it is? Because I was talking to someone called Kalman the other day at work.
Nah, sure, just excuses.
It is really annoying as well. So as I said, Frederick's in. Welcome, Frederick. Tanya's in. I'm going to stop looking at that and I'm going to get the chat up on here. I'm going to stop being lazy. So just bear with me.
Get rid of that.
And then I don't have to look sideways.
Right.
So let's find it in there. Better turn the sound off on it.
Also, we need to ask, do you want us to do some ASMR on this?
Yeah.
Middle Earth ASMR.
Callum said he's down.
Callum. Oh yeah, Callum.
I'm just going to call you Callum all night. That's what I do. I can't find it on there now. Oh, there it is. There we go. Get the chat on it. It's easier for us to see. There we go. I don't want any sound. Boom. I think I can pause that. That still comes through. Pop that out. Pop out. And get rid of that. Okay.
YouTube's a faff, isn't it?
Golden. It is a faff. And change that to live chat. Right, yeah, so I'll start again. Sounds like a weird goblin noise. There's also two goblins on screen, says Frederick. Come on, Frederick. You've gone really, you used to be really nice, you, Frederick.
A goblin with this kind of beard. Almost.
So Tanya's in, Macca's is in, Rob Camp's in, George Harold is in, welcome. Bronislav, am I saying that correctly? I hope I am. Bronislav Chevak, good evening and welcome. Tanya says, sounds a little bit faint. I hope that's gone up. Lauren Blom, hi guys. Sean's in. How you doing, Sean? But you can live with it. Sounds RNF 220's in. Nice gaming table. Thank you. We have literally just finished a game on here. We managed to squeeze 2 games in. Callum came.
I'm just going to walk out.
I'm picking myself up.
I'm just going to walk out.
Kalman has been here all day. So we got here early this morning. We had a chat and a catch up and a sausage barn, which was nice.
It was lovely.
And then we had a game on the Moria board, which you'll be seeing in a battle report very, very soon.
Yeah.
And then we had a little bit of spare time before this happened, and we decided to play on this Ascilia style board with Mordor and Gondor. So you'll be seeing that soon as well. Maybe that one will be a little bit longer. I'm going to get the Moria battle report edited first, and then I'll bank this one for when.
First time I've played Gondor though in about 15, 16 years.
Michael?
Yeah, first time I've ever played Boromir with the band.
Just playing Boromir is fun.
Yeah,
right? It's just fun.
I feel manly with it. Like I feel like my testosterone level goes up when I just.
He did go out to a fire exit and start going.
Well, I have that horn on the way actually, so as soon as it comes, I am going to be tooting.
Tooting the horn. So where? Oh, yeah, that's better. Thomas Sherlock is in. How you doing, Thomas? Al's in. How's it going, my friend? David Fate is in again. Good to have you again. Mr. Haskell, the gentleman of SBG, is in.
The nicest guy in SBG.
Yeah. We didn't talk about you today.
Nicely.
Yeah, in a good way. Gaetan's in. How you doing, pal? Glenn's in. Welcome, brother.
Lauren with a T.
Lorraine.
Laurent.
Evening, lads. Ruth's in. She waves. How you doing, Ruth? Have you voted more than one in? Yeah, that's the question. Ewokey is in. Hi, guys. Yeah, Ironhill's replaying chat, please. He's got the right guy for it. Andrew Pennington, good evening, chat. Stay fair. I'll try not to ring you tonight, Steve. Hey, Steve and Callum, says Harry Moore. How you doing, Harry?
I'm just going to copy Michael Haskell's advice while you do that.
It says, Cal, write your name in big letters on a piece of paper and put it in front of Steve. Will you get Damien O'Brien on? He'll probably call me. You know, he's nosy, isn't he?
He's a celebrity. Like you have to book him.
Yeah, he's booked up.
Just there you go.
Cal. That's what I did say, Cal.
Just leave that there. Yeah.
So, Cal, do you want to tell everyone a little bit about your background? Because you were in the game from the early days and then came out of it for a bit.
Yeah.
And then came back. So do you want to?
Well, I think like everybody, and obviously, as you know, Battle Streams of Middle Earth was this fantastic magazine that kind of got everybody hooked. When the films came out, it was this big buzz, wasn't it? Yeah. I was that old that I remember holding my mum's hand going into W. Smith to pick it up every fortnight.
I didn't have to hold it.
God knows, I think that was only.
I was 18.
Yeah, I was about 18 at that point. But I was already a player of 40k. Yeah. You know, painting at that level was basically just dipping a model in paint and then done. But that kind of cemented the love of Lord of the Rings. You got the movies, you got the hobby, and it kind of both went hand in hand. Played all of it on and off, so different game systems.
Yeah.
Hobbit came out, went straight back to Lord of the Rings, like solely Hobbit. I think the Dwarfs of Erebor came out. I think that was it, wasn't it? Yes. Rorks, Goblin Town, and the Grimhammers. That was it. Mm-hmm. Naturally, just got 24 Grimhammers and rocked out with them. And then 2014, the movie wasn't the best, especially the theatrical version. And then GW didn't really release anything. I think they released a White Dwarf supplement, didn't they?
Yeah, the Dark Times we call it.
Yeah, and also my favourite character is Dane, as people are probably going to know. And there was no Dane, there was no Iron Hills. Yeah. It was a very disappointing time, so I quit. Maybe I think I spat my dummy out and I quit. And then I'll hold my hands up. Gethin did go back in, introduced me to this whole concept of GBHL.
Shout out to Gethin.
Shout out to Gethin.
YouTube channel.
Snoblar, Mr. Snoblar.
Mr. Snoblar.
Yeah, he got me back into it. Kind of, my girlfriend also sneakily bought me Dane for Christmas, and she kind of made her own, death warrant with that.
Yeah.
From there, never looked back. Started the GBHL, started an Ardicon. Well, apart from Gethin used to run little GBHL events in Chester, and then went to Ardicon, loved it.
Good.
It's just a big load of nerds, isn't it?
Yeah. He's very. I'd class you as a skilled player, but you play in the right manner.
Thank you.
I found anyway. We've not played. Until today. I don't think we've played a game together.
We have doubles. Right here.
Yeah. We played doubles.
Many years ago. Yeah. I think that was the first. No, it was the second GBHL tournament I ever won.
Was that Scouring?
Or... No, that was. It was your doubles, wasn't it? Who was hosting the doubles here? It was Harry Moore and Cal.
It was Harry Moore, yeah, and I streamed it. That was right.
Yeah.
What was that called? Stockport in Flames.
That doubles was sick. Stockport in Flames. And there he is. That's the doubles partner right there. Oh, you should ban him because he'll swear.
Where's Stockport in Flames? Where's it gone?
It was Trafford in Flames last time, wasn't it?
Yeah. Turn cold.
Traitor. Yeah.
So you came back into the game. You kind of hit the floor running with it. Best newcomer first year back.
So 2018. I think I attended 6 tournaments, won 4.
Yeah.
Podiumed at 4. Won best newcomer. But I think that was mainly due to it was at the right time. The rules changed. Now I've never been good with Magic. Just I don't like playing it. I always thought it was really overpowered, especially in Lord of the Rings. It's very subtle in the books and the movie. And it was just where everyone took, I've got Gondor with Saruman and Galadriel. It's just always like that. But then it changed then, and big heroes became big heroes. Yeah. And it was also a time where siege weapons worked. I think it just worked quite well.
I was on the receiving end of those in that doubles.
Yeah. That was good, that one.
It just worked. That was one of those things where I'd not really played against siege weapons. I don't think the Iron Hills Blister had been out that long, or it had been, but didn't see it that much. Then obviously seen it all the time. And I remember playing units one of the first. I think it was the first time I played against it. And was it me and Ben?
Yeah.
It was me and Ben.
You had Gondor and Elisar and Murderer.
Yeah, we were like, I don't know. What do we do? That's someone leaving. It's the shutters coming down. I don't know what to do against it.
Well, that was the thing. The main thing about the blister, because the rules were brand new. Yeah. Not for the blister, for the actual rule book. Yeah. It changed siege engines earlier. So siege engines before this rule pack just acted like any other warband. You deploy them. You could end up deploying a trebuchet or a blister in the middle of the board. Yeah. But the rules changed, so you had to deploy them within 6 inches, and that's huge. But how the blister worked was it changed the dynamics of how dwarfs played. Yeah. I don't care about anything else the ballista does. It's the fact that dwarfs was always, you're shooting me, I have to come to you, I'm on your turn, and great, it's a great game. Yeah. The ballista changed that, you always came to me. Yeah. And as you said, because the new rules were new, it got into my opponents' heads. Yeah. So my opponents were always like, I'll deal with the ballista because that's scary, it's big, and then they'd leave Dane and Thorin, which are arguably, they are more important than going for the ballista every time. The ballista's very easy to counter if you know what you're doing. Yeah. Dane and Thorin aren't. Yeah. If you let them do their thing, and that's, I think, the momentum carried for that. I went to every tournament and I remember people going, you're the guy with the ballista, and then that worked because they go, I need to go for the ballista. Yeah. Again, leaving some 800 points that had Dwalin, Thorin and Dane. And you can't leave those guys unattended.
Well, I think that's pretty much what we did. Our idea was to try and get near to the ballista, to do something to it, to stop you using it or get close enough that you can.
I remember you ran Elisar at it and left, and we just dealt with your army. Elisar's by himself. Yeah, and then I remember then I used the Iron Hills Ballista in an Iron Hills list at an event at Warhammer World. I remember you had it there,
yeah. And two opponents I came up against just knew how to deal with it, and they just kept all their models like
if you do it right, you're killing one
3 inches apart. Yeah. And it's like, well, I've paid all this thing and I'm killing one model turn, which everything else can do anyway.
I mean, there's a chance you get the 6 and then your opponent loses a few more models, but you'll use that chance every time. I'll take the risk.
Yeah. So long story short, Carl's come from playing the game, leaving the game, coming back to the game with a little bit of knowledge, doing quite well, picking up quite quick, seeing where your niche is and dropping back into it. Yeah. And great guy to play against.
Thank you.
Really, really fun games about today.
We had a good group in Chester, and it was practicing once, twice a week, and it just, I think that's the biggest tip I can give anybody is just practice. Take what you want. Don't take what people tell you. Take what you want and just practice with it. Because then you know it and then you can do it.
I think we said that today, didn't we? Before we go any further, there's a good question we come up with for the chat, which you can post the answers to throughout the stream. Yeah. We'll get to them. Which Kalman came up with and asked me earlier, which I've got your name right.
Yeah, well, it's here. You can't get it wrong now.
We're getting there. You said, is there one or if there was one profile in the game that you could change?
Yeah, if you could change one profile, add something, take something away.
Change points.
For example, the Witch King, I always think is he's a big player. Yeah. So he's Sauron's lieutenant. You don't mess with him. He messes with you, kind of thing. And especially in the third movie, he always guns for the heroes. He takes out Gandalf, he takes out Theoden, he takes out Aenor in I think it's 1800, Third Age or something. He takes out the last game of Gondor, doesn't he? Yeah. So I would add something to show that, maybe give a special role like Kingslayer, where he always gets a free heroic strike against a leader of a force, just to show that that is his job. Maybe, obviously I'm not a rules writer, maybe unbalanced, but something that would just give the Witch King that little bit of, yeah. I know he has that now, but he hasn't got that oomph. Maybe something just 5/6 that's all he needs.
Sorry, I was just adding something to the screen that I forgot. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, and I totally agree on that one. There's not much else. I think we said if I could change something, it's not even like just that would benefit my army, because I'm a bit of a gaming kind of. I flip from one thing to the other, like you say, practice. I have that many armies, and I want to use them all at least once. I tend just to play an army, then play something else, then play something else, and I never kind of iron out all the creases, which I don't mind. You know, I like playing with different stuff.
I own most armies. It's just I hit the painting fatigue wall really early on.
Yeah,
I try to reward myself with doing like 12 warriors and a hero, but I never get to the first hero. I just get bored.
It's different when you run a YouTube channel. It's really difficult because you're doing, especially if you're doing more than one system. It's a nightmare. But the one thing that I would change in a profile would be things like trolls can move more than 6 inches.
Yeah.
Like Isengard troll, Mordor troll can move 8. I think they should move 8 inches.
There is something lacking, I think, especially with trolls in Mordor. Where they're like the backbone of Mordor's army. I mean, we've all seen Gandalf's face when that gate comes down. And he's just like, okay, cool, game, GG.
Yeah.
You don't really get that in the game. You go, oh, troll, here's Aragorn.
Yeah.
Knight.
Yeah. Or here's one model.
Yeah. Because a barge isn't a guaranteed 6. Maybe if a troll had, heroic combat or something, just get in there.
Yeah. Or if it's isolated. If it's 6 inches away from anything else important.
The base size lets them down, but you can't do anything about that. I think you need to make rules around it to There are a lot of points for just one infantry model.
Yeah. I think they need more movement. And I think you said that what would be good was it a free heroic combat as well.
Well, so they get Josh Devoy.
That like kill output.
Josh Devoy mentioned it to me the other week, and I quite like it. Yeah, because it will make you think twice about feeding it.
Maybe only a free heroic combat when they charge or when they've been charged, like it's not just a given every time, like there's some sort of sub-rule to that. Who knows? That's a good idea.
Who knows? Hinted.
So I'll have a jump back in the chat. I keep looking at that one, I can't help looking at that one. So where were we up to? Scott Newman. So Scott Newman's in, said evening chaps. Got any Lambeth burgers or Elven lunchboxes? Says Frederick. Dale Gray, I should have taken the Eagles to Mount Doom. That's your friend. I miss playing against your Iron Hill, says Dave Fair. You were saying that before. You said this Dale guy.
Everybody sees Dale Gray. Don't go near him.
Stockport / Trafford in Flames will return at some point. Good man. Harry Parker is in. Welcome, Harry.
David Finn misses playing against Iron Hills. I wasn't playing hard enough then if he misses it.
No. And Dave Fair says he will be attending Harry's event, of course.
It's a great doubles event.
Yeah.
It is a great doubles event.
It's really good. Really good.
Doubles is always just... Events are good, singles are good, but there's something about doubles. Maybe it's you can blame everything on your partner.
Yeah.
If you've got a horrible dice roll, you've got a banner reroll that's important, give it to your partner because when they mess it up, not on you.
Yeah. I think it caters more for the social aspects.
Yeah.
When you go to a normal singles event, it can be quite isolated, especially if you're playing someone new. I mean, I'm quite shy. I can talk for Britain, so it doesn't really bother me. But I could imagine if you're not as confident as that, and you may be a little bit sheepish. That if you're going to an event and you don't know anyone there, that must be quite daunting.
It can be.
You just rock up and you don't know anyone. So doubles kind of takes that away because you've already got a compadre and you're already having a bit of banter and a bit of a laugh.
I was very nervous the first time I ever. So in 2018 when I won Best Newcomer, I think I came 6th in the GBHL, so I qualified for the Masters, and it was only at the final that I really started to meet people. First time I met Barney and Ryan, really, as in got to know them. And next thing they're like, oh yeah, the Masters in like a week or 2 weeks time, up in Yorkshire in Ripon. Will was hosting it, and that was probably the most nerve-wracking tournament I've ever been to because on the Saturday, I think it was Saturday night, because it was just a one-day event. I drove all the way up to Ripon, didn't really know anybody, and was crashing with them as well. They were just, you can just keep on the sofa in or Airbnb, and it was like, but it solidifies the friendship. It really, just jump in there.
And I think the thought of it is 10 times worse than when you actually do it, because I don't even think it's like a conscious thing. You'll get to these events and you'll start talking because you've already got a lot in common.
Yeah, you've got the main thing in common.
You're already both massive nerds. You like to paint little toy soldiers. You like to roll dice.
Yeah.
You're laughing.
When you meet somebody new, you go, oh, what hobbies do you have? You don't need to do that.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, cool, you got hobbies.
You never get that question where it's like, you do what?
Yeah. They're called models.
But yeah, so anyone who hasn't been to an event, I highly recommend getting to an event, and don't be afraid to go even if you are on your own. I've said this to you. I always forget, and you kind of don't realise how lucky I am in the community that we've got here in Manchester, Stockport, because it is a big SBG community, gaming community in general, but SBG, we're really lucky for the amount of players we've got. I actually would go as far as to say that we're probably catching up how many players are in knots. Maybe even more now. We've got so many here. It's crazy. We've got.
It's like ground zero knots is for producing just top table gaming people. They just
beardy though, aren't they?
Yeah. They'll cheat.
Yeah, they'll cheat. But yeah, don't be afraid to go to an event and do. I keep moving that mouse, thinking it's no wonder why it's not moving this. I have so many armies, not just armies. You have so many YouTube channels as well. Tell me about it. Frederick says.
You can what?
Frederick says, had 50 mil bases been a thing back in the day, they should have put trolls on there.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe even cave trolls. Would probably change the roles of cave trolls and Mordor trolls. Yeah, I think.
Cave troll is less a troll, isn't it? It's meant to be. It's a runt of the litter.
So he's on 40 mil. He's on a cav base. Yeah. The base for the trolls is big. It seems a little too big.
It's one of those where the rules really don't match their stature, but the models are gorgeous and they're such a centerpiece because you've got all these little models and then a gorgeous troll, and when they're painted up nicely, they will catch Patch's attention, and if that's what you're going for, they're great.
Yeah.
I'd never say not take. You want a troll, take a troll.
Yeah.
They still give your opponent pause to think.
Yeah.
If they're bearing down on a hero, they have to heroic strike against it unless they're an elf.
Yeah.
So
bring 3 trolls, they're awesome. But Glenn says rebalance the Hobbit heroes compared to the Lord of the Rings heroes. I think we're seeing, which we spoke about this day as well. A slight stat creep on new profiles.
For the points cost, yeah.
Yeah.
3 attacks, 3 might, 100 points is a bit.
Do you think there's anything in that, or do you think it's an unconscious thing, or?
I think there's a bit of both.
Yeah.
I do think it's maybe that thing of brand new models when you sell them.
Yeah.
Also, these rules aren't here to stay. Obviously, it's not the official publication, so they could change. But I don't know. Hobbit heroes do have that reputation of being more bang for their buck. Yeah. You look at Dane for 160 points to get the same kind of quality. You're looking at Elisar or Elendil, who are at least 40 points more.
Yeah.
So it's.
I always thought in the past, and this point of view doesn't really float now because of the new releases we've had. But I always thought that yes, the Hobbit heroes always were a little bit better for the points that you pay for them, but that was due to the fact that the army lists were a lot less. You had a lot less options for infantry and elites than you did in Lord of the Rings armies. So I always thought they did that to make up for that, but for that shortfall. But I don't think that's the case now because I think Dale will get in. I think that's going to be the standard practice now. They're going to go through each faction and flesh them out and make them better. So it's whether then will they offset that then on the elites. You know, some elites are saying a little bit too expensive, like the new Easterling Forge will do.
That's true. Yeah, you may save money or points on your hero, but pay for it in the troops. Yeah. So maybe it balances out. Yeah, very true. You look at Gondor. How much is Gondor? 6 points, 7 points.
Gondor Warrior.
Yeah, just a base Gondor Warrior.
6 points.
I think so 7 with a shield or something. Where you look at Nine Hills, he's 12.
Yeah.
Granted, Nine Hills is much better one-on-one, but
it's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot. Yeah. So be interested to hear more opinions on that actually.
But yeah, maybe think of a profile, one model.
Yeah.
Where you'd like maybe just to change or tweak, even if it's literally changing an attack from 2 to 3.
Yeah. Even if it's just something you personally have got in your arm and you just don't think it's doing what it should be doing in game. George Harold says, I'm trying to think of a profile which is crying out for a change, which I think is indicative of how well written this edition is. I agree. I think the profiles in the game itself are super well balanced.
It's by far the best edition. I know I'm probably going to get a bit of hate for that, but it is.
I think
it is straight up. It's a very well-rounded battle. It's rock paper scissors. Every army can beat every army.
Yes. Yeah.
And with 18 scenarios and how the match play guide works.
And the scenarios are so different.
Yeah, you need
to do so, like the things you need to do in each one are so varied.
Yeah, it's no longer just let's meet in the middle, have a shield wall off and see who wins. You have to have a Swiss Army knife of something that can do a bit of everything.
Yeah. It's telling how when you're out of practice to play it, like we kind of forfeited our scenario.
We just played retrieval and didn't go anywhere near the actual retrieval. We just kind of had a little bit of a bash in the middle.
I Am Legend 0000 says new to the game since last month, but already 12 armies deep collected. Also, double sounds like a great idea. It is a great idea. And
Yeah, it really
welcome to the hobby, my friend. I hope you're enjoying it. Where are you from? Are you UK? Are you somewhere else? And if you are in the UK, whereabouts in the UK are you? We might be able to put you in touch with other players and clubs. Andrew Pennington, what would you consider being the most user-friendly, forgiving beginner army? You're not going to like my answer here.
No, it's Iron Hills.
I think it's Iron Hills.
Iron Hills is very
I think
forgiving.
any dwarf army, I think.
It can be. The issue is, again, it's a thing a lot of people overlook. With Iron Hills, it's the missions. So Iron Hills is always, well, not just Iron Hills, dwarfs are very good in combat. They're just a solid troop choice. I mean, just Durin's folk dwarfs, fight 4, strength 3, defense 7, 9 points. It's solid. Yeah. But they have no maneuverability.
Yes.
They have especially the new 6 scenarios, they vary pressure on maneuverability. So that's where you lack. But to answer that question, dwarfs can be very forgiving. If you mess up, unless your opponent's good, they really need to work hard to capitalise on your mistake.
Yeah, I think Isengard fall into that bracket as well.
Isengard are a solid.
Isengard warriors, not scouts.
Yeah.
Isengard warriors. I think as a beginner army, I think it's awesome if you get like one big hero like Lurtz or an Ugluk or Malher or Vrasku, and then just have captains and warriors.
With Isengard, you've got several medium heroes with lots of might, and the troops are good. They're a lovely evil army. Yeah. I think that also falls in the category of Easterlings. I know Easterlings get a lot of hate, but I've seen players rip up that they've done so well.
They can do a lot of the damage output with your roll right is crazy.
Put Easterlings in a top table game hand. I can't play them, but they're really good. I mean, an Easterling Phalanx does terrify me.
Yeah. It's a lot of dice.
I think they can be more forgiving.
The first tournament I went to was the first one I ran, says Dave.
Was that that one in Trafford? That was a really good event, to be fair. Great prizes. 3D printed trophies. Yeah, it was lovely.
Going back to Andrew Pennington's question, you guys in the chat, which kind of army would you consider being a very user-friendly and beginner army? Yeah. Because there's a few out there. You know, I always used to think, and there's armies out there that and you don't necessarily think of. Like, I think Gondor, in its most basic form, is a great beginner army.
I was just about to say Gondor. There's something pretty about Gondor as well. It's very appealing to look at on the table.
Yeah.
Because
everyone knows
Gondor.
It's so iconic. And like I say, if you keep it basic, so if you get yourself, I used to play. My main hero for my Gondor army was Faramir maxed out, and he's a mid-tier hero. I never used to bring Boromir. I used to bring Faramir, and then a load of the minor heroes who have a lot of might, and then just spam warriors.
To be fair, Gondor you can't choose.
Yeah, I know.
Ingold, Hurin, Faramir. Yeah. I do like Ingold. Ingold has an incredible special rule, incredible for shield wall. Yeah. But if I see a Gondor army, especially with Gandalf the White on horse and Denethor and Pippin, that's my type. I love that army. Yeah.
There's a few out there. Do let us know in the chat what you think yours are. Gaetan says, and another side to Andrew's question, is there a faction / army list you think is overpowered?
Could argue Iron Hills. Overpowered, not anymore. I would have jumped on that band train. I've said, Rangers of Ithilien, but now you have to take the 2 Hobbits and Smeagol, which is 150, 170 points.
It's a big thing.
I think you're looking at 700 or 800 points if you want to max out the amount of Rangers, as in take the 2 new heroes as well, max out. So I don't think it's a formidable. I don't think there's an army that is overpowered compared to everything. It's a rock paper scissors game.
Yeah, and I think from what you're saying, like the Rangers of Ithilien, they definitely were. Yeah. But the fact that an FAQ has come out and they've fixed that is solid, and it's nice to know that they're listening to what people are saying, looking what's happening at events.
2 FAQs a year is a very positive thing because it, as you said, it shows they're listening and they do tweak it. Yeah. Really.
The only thing I would say about having so many FAQs is it would be really nice if the PDF online version of the rulebooks were updated, rather than you have to dig out go to the FAQs, which we spoke about before.
It can be a bit. There's so many bits of fact. Yeah, I think we said earlier. Yeah. I think the Iron Hills Ballista is the perfect scenario. Yeah. If you're a TO, somebody rocks up to your tournament, they've paid 90 points for a ballista. It's a very awkward conversation to be like, actually, that's 125. Oh, it doesn't say it in your book, but it says it online, which they're not going to know to look at. Yeah. So all I'd say is, as a tip for that, if you go into a tournament, check out the FAQs. Yeah.
If you're a TO, I'm going to try and remember about a month out from the event actually happening, put a post out on the event page, highlight it, pin it, whatever you need to do, with a link to the most recent FAQ page saying, please check all your armies out to date and point to.
I think that's a fair thing to do, yeah.
I think it's as much as you can do. And the flip side to that is then, if you do get to an event and your army list gets pulled because you are not on the up-to-date FAQ list and you might be a few points over, is just go with it, is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is. It's your responsibility at the end of the day. Tanya says, do like a troll or two, great for hero bashing. Yes, they are.
Saying that though, Blackgate opens Legendary Legion. Just take the chief troll and other trolls. I have seen that quite funny because you just hurl into each other.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy. Mr. Moore says there is actually a Manchester Civil War happening on Sunday. Drone combat versus Rebel Base Gaming, 8v8.
Oh.
Well, you'll have to keep us posted on how that pans out. Frederick says, not just a stat creep, also a lot of 3-1-1 heroes. Their special rules might be unique, but their hero stats are often the same. And with Dunland, normal chieftains have 2. Hang on, does that make sense?
Yeah. So I think he's saying so. Dunland chieftains have 2.
Two will, but the named ones are all 3-1-1.
3-1-1.
Does not make sense.
I kind of agree. I think there's a lot of named heroes out there that don't need 3 might. They have 3 might just because they've got a name. Where Hilda, doesn't she have 3 might? Does she? Maybe she's a bad example.
I've got all the Dunland. We were talking about that earlier today as well. So I've got a decent Dunland army. It was pre-lockdown I started painting them.
Maybe that lockdown, Tilda, whatever, not Tilda, she's like the spear lady from Dunland, doesn't she have 3 might? Where, maybe a Gondorian captain.
Yeah.
It's probably got to be a bit more trained than a wild lady with a spear.
I don't know, you say that, but then you look at like the wildlings in Game of Thrones, like they're good fighters.
Yeah, until they meet a proper army. Well, remember what Stannis did to them.
Yeah.
They're good against themselves, and then they kind of get bummed everywhere else.
But again, you've got Dunland. Yeah, they did get some reinforcements recently with Crevane and the Cav.
Dunland's the one we'll talk about later. I think.
I still think you've got 4 troop choices, and that's it.
Maybe Dunland are one to watch.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be really good because Crevane they can do that Swiss army.
Yeah.
The best thing, Will Champion always says, an army needs shenanigans, and that army is the definition of shenanigans. They can do it really well.
Yeah. Green Tree says, evening everyone, top table live stream. This takes me back good times. Welcome, my friend, one of the OGs. Eitan's retracted a message, so he probably called you Kalman.
Probably.
Yeah, that's probably what it was.
Or put a swear word. Who Dale's put something?
Samwise to have 3 attacks. He's beat Shelob and got Frodo from Kira from goal. Give the Hobbit some respect.
Sam is his favourite character, so I'm calling biased.
Yeah. I think Sam's got an alright profile.
I think so. He's 2 might, 2 will, 2 fate, isn't he?
He's still a Hobbit.
Yeah,
And he's good around. He gets things around Frodo, right?
He beat Shelob because he has an Elven Blade, and in the book he beat Shelob because she jumped on it. He couldn't. So I think it's worded as he physically didn't have the strength to pierce her hide, but she did. So he held out the sword and she jumped on it.
Yeah. Tanya says Uruk-hai for beginners. Yes, totally agree. It's a great army for beginners.
It looks good too. Even the models are 20 years old. It looks good.
Yeah, it does look class on the table. Gaetan agrees with Green Tree. Thank you, my friend. Wolf says to Dale Gray, he even slapped some orcs with a frying pan. Coolest dude out there so far. He is a very cool character. Very cool.
Name a member of the Fellowship who isn't. If somebody puts Boromir on walking out.
He is awesome. I think his profile's alright though. I think he'd be a little bit OP if he started giving him.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody in the Fellowship I would change. I would have said Gandalf 2 attacks, but Gandalf the White has it, so I think it's a. Gandalf the White is a bit too expensive though. I mean, he's basically a mortgage. Yeah. He is so expensive.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think the Fellowship points wise are really well pointed. I think it suits what they are and what you get for your points.
I really want to take the Legendary Legion to a 600 point event.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. Well, I've got B-Sign meetup, Battle Streams in Middle Earth meetup for the patrons for Battle Streams in October, and we're all meeting and playing games together.
Lovely.
But it's 550 points, and I wanted to bring Fellowship without Gandalf, so as they come out of more after the Balrog, that's killed, but it's 575.
Well, do Amon Hen, just don't take Boromir, but use the dead Boromir and just say he's an objective in every game, because then it's 500.
True.
Do you feel like you have to get to Boromir because he's there? Like,
True. Might do. Who knows? I keep doing that as if it's going to move this. Harry says, Minister of Uruk-hai, definitely forgiven. Big heroes, solid troops. And I missed one. He says, I can assure you Easterlings are not forgiving. Yeah, he's played Easterlings a little bit.
they can be. I swear they can be.
I don't know enough about them. I'm painting an Easterling army now, just because of the new stuff. And I wanted an Easterling army for ages because they were always called for a long time, like the Evil Gondor.
Yeah,
for a long time.
They did need something to distinct apart from being Gondor.
Then Gondor got like another 50 heroes, and it just changed. But yeah, I think that they would. I'd find them quite easy to slip into as a gaming style because I was so used to playing the old Gondor. Yeah, kind of thing.
So they have the Phalanx rule now, so you're not trapping yourself like Uruk-hai do trap themselves.
Yeah.
I think the only things that they don't have is maybe I don't know why the cavalry have shield wall where the actual troops don't. But
yeah, there's the odd little thing like that in the rules.
They look promising. It looks like they're going to get new releases, so it looks interesting.
Yeah. Tanya says Gondor play it as a horde army. Yeah, great as a horde army. I am Legend. I'm here I was in California, USA. I only have one friend out of our gaming group that plays, but we both love this game, and we wish we have more players locally. I'm probably telling you what you already know.
There's a massive
but there is
scene.
There is. What's the American?
Doesn't Tim live in California? He lives near LA, doesn't he?
I think he does. Yeah. But what's the American league called?
That's got out of my head.
Oh my God. Devon and the American Strategy Battle Game Alliance.
Is that it?
ASBGA. If you search that on Facebook, if you're not, you might already be on it. But there's a ton of American players, so you might find someone who's fairly close, within driving distance, to maybe meet a couple of times a month.
Driving distance in America is like 6 hours, isn't it?
Yeah. Dave says that was the one. I really enjoyed running it. We've done some good events, Dave. I've popped down, even the ones
it was a great event.
I didn't play in. I tried to always come down and have a nose. Frederick says, good beginner army, done Harrow, cheap plastic, easy to paint, okay rules, big name heroes. Very true.
And they look good.
Yeah,
they do look good. That new King of the Dead model is.
What's your thought? Like Army of the Dead always comes up, but what are your thoughts on Army of the Dead?
I think if it's an good versus evil tournament, so if you're required to take 2 armies, the evil army you have to when you plan is think I could be playing it, because it's one of those where if you're attending it and you can't bother working out a good list, just take them, because you're only going to play evil and they batter evil.
Yeah, it's because of courage.
Yeah, and a good versus good, you can probably beat Army of the Dead. Take out Aragorn, but evil versus evil, you go through orcs on 3s. So if you're playing evil, you have to consider consider fury, shame, stuff like that. But I don't think they're broken. Don't think they're overpowered because they pay for it in their troops choice.
Yeah. It's a good army. I think they're difficult to play against if you're a new player.
They can be. It can be very terrifying. You've got Elisar with Anduril.
I think as soon as you start telling someone that you can't do it, you can't charge him. Oh, by the way, your heroes are defense 7, defense 8. I'm not striking against that. I'm striking against their courage, which is.
If you're worried about going to a tournament and playing against an army like that, get your mate to, if you've got it, proxy it, whatever. Play against it, practice against it first.
Yeah.
That's all I'd say.
Yeah. It's not as scary as you think it is.
No.
Nathan T, I've not seen Kalman before, but I'm sure I trust his choice in friends. The other guy looks well shifty.
You haven't met my friends, mate. I wouldn't.
Glyn says, as Kalman said, it's the disparity between the heroes points-wise, e.g. if Dane-Stroke Thorin and Dwelling are 40 points extra. Though Azog, I think, shouldn't have Master of Battle fight 7 and always 3+ winged heroes needs nerfing.
Azog's one of them when you see him, your heart falls out your butt.
Do you know what though? Like, I think he's alright. I think he should be like that. We're not going off the books, we're off the guy we see in the movies.
He's nothing like the books. In the books, he's headless.
Yeah, we're going off the guy we see in the movies, and he's an absolute beast in the movies. And the other thing is...
Yeah, he even jumps out through ice out. But he breaks physics more than Legolas does.
Yeah, he does. You don't see him all the time. You don't see him in and around top tables.
It's a very good argument, because if he was that good, where is he?
But that's what I always say when people say, oh, that's too much. Oh, well, I've not seen that.
At the end of the day, he's one model.
Yeah.
Most of the games you play require multiple models.
Yeah.
If you're paying 250 points for him on Warg, then he's not got a large army.
Yeah.
The issue is with Gundabad, every time I try and write a list, I always want a Gundabad troll because they're gorgeous. I want Azog, he's gorgeous. It's like, oh, I've got all these lovely, I've got 6 berserkers, and then, I'm at 800 points, I've got 4 models.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah.
But that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Because I would much prefer Azog to be the way he is. Than him be nerfed just so that you can squeeze him into armies, and then when you get him in the armies, he's bobbins anyway. Because he's 5'6".
If he's without armor, he's defense 5.
Yeah.
If he loses, he's a glass cannon. He's got 1 fate.
Yeah.
If Legolas is there,
I've played Gundabad quite a bit. I've played Azog quite a bit. And don't get me wrong, Azog. I mean, I killed Smaug with Azog. I've smashed something, but I've also had my ass handed to me as well at the same time. And Azog is just he's like you say, if he loses a combat, if you have a bad dice roll, you're in trouble. I quite like him. I quite like him. I think he's alright. I think he should be a beast because I think
maybe pay a bit more points for him. I do agree. Dane, Thorin, maybe pay more points for them. It is very much, but again, I don't write the rules. I don't know anything about them.
Warriors are a bit now.
Do they have hatred, or do they have hatred dwarfs and elves, and they're quite common?
They're a bit naff. I think there's a reason why you just don't see Gundabad up and about.
There's something about it. There's very few. I know Will does really well with them, but he takes a lot of Hunter Orcs. 2 attack strength, 4 is solid.
Different list.
True.
But yeah, I think he's alright. Single warrior add change. Ironhill's warrior maybe just strength 3.
Maybe for a balancing point of view, but not for a thematic. They are meant to be dwarfs on steads.
Yeah, that's supposed to be massive.
Yeah. I think it says somewhere they are actually strong.
I think dwarves are stout. I think strength.
It says they're stronger than normal dwarves. They're just like a different breed. Yeah. They're the warlike dwarves. They're the Uruk-hai of dwarves.
They're highly trained in battle. Destro's incest with Stony Greeks, all welcome, my friend. George says one profile which I do think ought to be changed is the Asciliath veteran. Just played with them.
We just play with them. I enjoyed it.
Great fluff and lovely models, but they're just worse than other ministerial options.
I agree. It's Gondor's one of them where you take what's good or you take what you like.
Yeah.
Because they've given them shield wall, that's cool. But still the choice is you just spam Fancourt.
Yeah.
But just take what you want. Like we just did an Osciliath game on this. All we did was take Rangers Osciliath veterans.
Yeah.
And it was nice.
No, it's good. It's a cool game.
It was really thematic.
Cool game. Tim Garlick's info Hammy says, "Hey guys, beards are looking stunning tonight. Thank you, gorgeous.
Thank you, Mitch.
One true Haldir.
Haldir.
One true Haldir is in. Not seen you on any of the streams for a while, pal. I hope you will. Uruk-hai, Mordor, and Rohan are pretty good for beginners. Yep, it's as if they knew when they were making a starter box.
I mean, Rohan have so many legendary legions to choose from, but they're all most of them are different.
I always say. Because I think the starter box is great, but I always think for beginners, and when people ask me here, like new players, a lot of new players will contact me, and I'm teaching a guy now who I streamed with the other night.
Yeah.
And I always say, if you like Gondor, play it, but you've got to learn it a little bit quicker than you would an infantry army.
Gondor have no killing power.
Yeah. I think people could start a Gondor army, but as the first army, and be put off the game.
Maybe.
A lot quicker.
Because they're rolling dice, but they're not achieving anything.
Yeah, nothing's happening. Yeah.
Well, Rohan, it feels good when you charge it.
Yeah.
Boromir's Bay.
Boromir's Bay. That might be the Yorkshire in me coming out, to be honest.
He's just Bay.
Gazan says, do you think there is an army that is very good at any points level?
I wouldn't say any hills because they don't do well at lower points.
Lower points?
Maybe just because I'm just playing and I'm really just quick Durin's folk, Balin's Expedition.
I'm gonna say an army, and this is saying an army, and I've not played it for a long time. I have thought and still think that Goblin Town, very one-dimensional army, but Goblin Town will give anyone a game at any amount of points.
I've got a mixed relationship with Goblin Town. Because it's one of those armies where it doesn't matter how tactical you are, doesn't matter how much you think about it, you just go bleh, and your opponent will you just outdice them eventually. Yeah. It's just a war of attrition,
stop
and
them
then
doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
It's I used to love playing Goblin Town because I didn't have to think.
Yeah,
I could go to an event, get all in Goblin Town out, and just get pissed and just laugh.
When you buy Goblin Town, you need to buy. You know what those dealers have at casinos where they move all the chips. One of those sticks was you just throw models and just be like, right, 6 taxes. Do you want to take your models off? Goblin King. Oh, he's got a 3+ fate. It's one of those armies.
They're awesome. They can all back each other up.
But I do agree. At any points, even 1,000 points, God knows how many goblins you have to paint. But I think Durin's Folk is good. Balin's Expedition, because I know he's 110 points, but at 500 points, I think I took like Balin, Gimli, 4 Vault Ones. I had a good number of troops and a solid little impact line. Gondor, maybe? I think Rohan's actually pretty good, because Theoden is cheap and Theoden does so much for the army.
Yeah, I think Gondor's a good shout, because it is good at the good thing about Gondor is you've got so many options with heroes and elites and just spam.
I looked at Denethor's 35 points for a Hero of Valor. That's 15 troops. Yeah. 35 points.
You can play a 350, 400 point Gondor list and do well, and you can play 1,000 point, and they're 2 entirely different lists. They're built entirely. Obviously they're entirely different because they're different points. But what I mean is they're not even recognisable.
I think Gondor has the most different types of builds.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. Yeah. It's you can build it in many different ways and play it in many different ways.
Yeah, you can go to a million tournaments and still come up with a new list.
Yeah, so many heroes. Rohan's a bit like that as well. Harry says the heroes.
We missed Haskell. We've missed Haskell.
Oh, I highlighted it as well, so read it out right. If Cal had to take an all-hero army to an event, what would it be? If it's all-dwarf hero, what would he choose for non-dwarf all-hero army?
Well, I've taken all dwarf hero, all mounted dwarf all hero, and it hits harder than anything. It does hit harder. I think so Dale, if he's still listening. No, it wasn't the first Trafford. Wasn't the first. We've taken it to a doubles event, and I think it was 1,000 points or something. I'm sure it was Harry's Trafford in Flames. Yeah. And I took mounted Dane, mounted Thorin, mounted Dwalin, mounted Feely, mounted Keeley, captain on Goat, captain on Chariot. Nothing that hits so hard, and the chariot messes with your opponent's head. It just nothing hits harder than a dwarf on a goat. But if I was going to take all hero, I'd probably go all Rohan, Riders of Theoden, just because the new plastic models I painted like Theoden and Durnhelm and AMR up during lockdown, and the new plastic sculpts are gorgeous. So that really wants me to play them. Yeah. But also I've not played with them yet. But from a theory point of view, I think they were hit really hard. They've got different tactics. You could have like 6 or 7 heroes, charge in 2 each, call death, kill 14 and back off. Yeah. And then just be like, okay, and then do it again. Yeah. And you can break your opponent in 2 turns, theoretically. Yeah. And I know it's a dice game at the end of the day, but I think, to answer the question, all mounted Rohan.
I think Rohan is definitely one that I've thought about in the past. I've always thought I've had this thing for ages about building this, and I was going to do it with Isengard, and I'll probably at some point do it with Rohan as well, where we build whether it's like 500 points plus, so it's 500, 600, 700 points, and having no main target, so no big hero, so just having captains and mid-level heroes, so you can spam the shit out of it, basically.
Isengard, Legendary Legion, Helm's Deep. You can't take any big heroes. That's interesting because it's just captains. You get a big 3 attack, 3 hit, but it is 65 points for a captain, guys.
Yeah. Say if it's high points and you've got like 4 or 5 captains, and you're playing someone who's spent 250 points plus on a caster or something. Yeah. And it's like they're like, well, what do I? How am I going to hurt him? Yeah. Exactly. You're like, you target a captain. Okay.
I've got 5 more. Yeah. All hero though. They are, for me, all hero is what the game's meant to be. Because obviously the reason we all play this game is the Fellowship. The Fellowship are the hero. So maybe to ask, I love playing the Fellowship. The Fellowship because they are the Fellowship. Yeah. Half of that nerd room I've got at home is just dedicated to items of the Fellowship. But yeah, I think Rohan do really well. Another one. I've taken Dol Guldur Race to a lot of tournaments.
Yes.
And I've done well with them. I've podiumed in quite a few tournaments, but
never played with them.
Never played with. They are. I'd say they are hard to get used to. Yeah. Because it's very much where you're placing them, and it's what you do with the Necromancer. For me, my Necromancer was hiding on the top of buildings and just chill following a guy a turn. Yeah. Because I need to get the numbers down equal and get in the Burly Boys in and just grinding up. But they do have hard counters if you play a Lothlorien army, that's the hardest counter you can get.
Yeah.
They've all got resistance to magic. They've all got Elven Blades. It's like they're all 5/5.
Yeah.
It's a hard game. You have to play the scenario. If the scenario is something that doesn't go your way anyway.
And with a low model count, you're gonna struggle. Yeah. Harry says the heroes are very glass cannony. Is that a word? Too hard for beginners to get their heads around, I'd say.
Which hero?
In which one? What was that to do with something that Harry said?
Easterlings. So you're saying Amder is glass cannon? I can see that. Blood Knights, they got no fate. Amder scares me because I can't strike against him guaranteed. He does. Amder will make a top table gamer just hesitate.
Yeah.
They may be so confident. You probably won't know they're hesitating, but they will. Amder's one of them where you have to come up with a plan, because if you don't, he's going to make you regret it. But at the moment, there is only Amder.
Yeah. At the moment.
I mean, I'm sure everything's going on Facebook. They've got to bring out something new.
Yeah, I reckon so. I reckon we've got a lot to look forward to.
Absolutely.
Gaetan says, what do you think is the best, but also the most difficult army to play? For me, it's hero heavy armies or like caster heavy armies. That's why I've never played
casters.
The Race of Dol Guldur. I've got them, loved them, painted them up since come to put on a diorama. I've not got any intention of playing them just because the way I play is that it's quite laid back. Like I haven't got the headspace to start planning 4 moves ahead and what I've got to do and think, and I just.
You do have to think really far ahead, and you have to plan your might usage and stuff like that, because the Fellowship are really hard because the Fellowship don't have any killing power.
Yes.
You've got Gimli, he's a bit of a brawler, but like Aragorn doesn't have Anduril and stuff, so you have to use your might conservatively. Casters are good. I think Swiss Army Moria.
Yeah, Moria are really good,
but I think really hard to play.
Yes.
It's one of those. It's a game that it's an army that if you can master it, it counters everything.
Yeah.
And at the ETC, I saw Barney he did so well with it. But then just a testament to how good of a player Mick is, because Barney was ill unfortunately for day 2. So Mick just picked up his army and played with it. And for for any player to pick up an army like that, look at a list and go, okay, now how that works.
Yeah.
That's like, that's testament to his playing ability.
Yeah.
Because he did well, and it's a very hard army to play. So that's the first one that comes to mind is Swiss Army.
Yeah, I think it's I think Moria is definitely a good army for that.
It's a tricky list because if you make mistakes, you have to pay attention to what your opponent's doing because you have to capitalise on their mistakes.
Yeah.
But also, if you make mistakes, it could be costly.
Yeah. Ewokey says, is Dane and Thorin and Goat too much at 600 points? No. Silly or amazing?
Well, your opponent, you have to think about it's all triple, double threat, etc. Thorin depends who you go for leader. I would go for Dane. I know it's not fluffy, but Dane has 2 fate over Thorin. What's your opponent going to do against 2 tanky heroes? They either go for one or the other. Dane should be bearing down the middle of that board. Just here's Dane, deal with him. While Thorin's just going around the edges with his 3 heroic combats, hopefully killing 4 guys a turn. 3 turns later, you've broken your opponent. Yeah. Take Thorin with Orcrist. 100%. It's a dwarf with an elven blade. It's hard to deal with. At 600 points, no, but you're not going to have anything else. You're just going to have a shield wall. That's not to be underestimated. But if you're at a tournament and that mission comes up like recon, you're probably not getting anything off the board. You're just going to have to kill your opponent. Yeah. So you're not 12-0ing it.
Yeah. Johnny Zini says, good evening, you sexy boys. Good evening, Johnny. Hey, long time no speak, says Dave Face to Johnny. And Harry says, Azog is amazing, but he's also insanely expensive. See, that's
you pay for it.
2 totally different opinions.
But that's it. If a model's amazing, you pay for it. That's balance at the end of the day, isn't it?
Frederick says, what are you drinking, Steve? Are there any snacks? What about your wet palate? Are your eyes gone already? No, I'm drinking Pepsi Max tonight. We've already had a KFC for dinner.
It's been a long day, so his eyes are probably gone.
Yeah, I've got the glasses somewhere, I don't know where they are. Dave Fair says, I took a Gondor army at 800 points once, and it was over 50 models. I outnumbered my Mordor opponent. It's easily done.
Yeah,
easily done, I think. The Gondor that Kalman used in the game we just played.
I think I outnumbered you.
Yeah, you outnumbered me, and I've not actually played that army yet. So that was my original. I told you it's my original models. Everyone on Battlestream Tunes knows what happened with that. I've stripped my whole army just because it was so like hodgepodge the way the paint jobs weren't. I wasn't happy with it. So I stripped the whole army and got Mr. Gazballer to repaint the whole lot, and I think it looks absolutely beautiful. But I've not played with it yet. So you played with an army that have had painting, and I'm not going to play.
I think we said, didn't we, all got time for another game, saw this board, was like, we've got Mordor, we've got Gondor.
Yeah.
Open that case up, and there's all the old models of Gondor metal. And like, how can you say no to that?
Yeah, it's a good army. I can't wait to play it more.
All mounted dwarf army hurt badly. Yeah, that's true. Didn't fare well against Gulfar. So I played Dave and Harry in the same tournament.
Yeah.
Smashed Dave because it's well, but Harry had Angmar, and yeah, that wasn't fun. Even with my all mounted dwarf army, I think Gulfar killed 4 dwarf heroes in 2 turns. There's nothing I could do about it because it's very much of you've got 2 Barrow Whites and the Witch King just hanging back, and it's. Eventually, again, it's a war of attrition. They just wear you down, and then Gulbar goes no.
Yeah.
And Gulbar is the hero killer.
Yeah, he's awesome, Gulbar.
It's just Harry made me cry so much that game.
Dave says you stopped mine and Sam Page's elves, and Gaetan says to Harry, I did not fare well against. I did
definitely not fare
well against Gulbar.
He's very hard if you don't have shooting. He's always going to have to drop on you.
Yeah.
And he's always going to go, oh, look, what is he, fight 8? He's like 24 million attacks. Yes, he's a glass cannon, but he's probably not going to lose because he's got like 5 attacks on charge or something stupid. Again, if you've got shooting, Legolas is his worst enemy.
Yes. Yeah. I like the model a lot.
Or I'll say Harry, every time I've been at a tournament and he's got a Gulbar, he's like, you haven't got the blister, have you? Because and every time I've been at a tournament, no, I don't have the ballista, and every time I've played him, I've not had the ballista.
Johnny says hey to Dave, and he tells Harry to stop following him.
It's hard not to follow Johnny though.
Just shoot him, says Gaetan. Lynn says, Steve, what's the 6 scenarios at Scouring so I can choose a 700 point list? I'm not telling you, they're going to be chosen at the weekend. On the weekend. That's how I'm going to do it.
Well, that's the great thing about, I've got the match play book behind it. That pool system is great because it really makes you think about your list writing.
Yeah.
Because you are going to play a mission from every pool.
Yeah. You're going to play missions you don't want to play.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to play 1 Maelstrom mission. You're going to play 1 objective mission, 1 moving. So if you've got an army that relies on like Lords of Battle to the death, tough. You're only playing 1 of them. Yeah. It's very good. It's hard because it makes. You have to think before an arm. Yeah. Like, to be fair though, I think Sterling, they actually release what scenarios you're playing in the event pack, which is interesting.
Yes.
So if you want a tournament where you can plan to what scenarios are coming up, Sterling do tell you what scenarios are coming up. Yeah.
I always just do it on the weekend, so I'll roll for scenario 1. Obviously I have to do it in pools now. But yeah, I just roll for them. I think it's, I don't like the idea of people planning. I like to take you by surprise. You know me by now, Blake. I'm just trying to find them things that I sent you. Did you write them down?
Things?
Oh, there they are.
Oh, they're here.
Yeah. Okay, so no mention of the Knight of the White Tower, the Minister of Heresy. He's awesome.
Never played him, never played against him. Can't even think of his rules.
I think I used him once.
Is he the guy that goes chop?
Many moons ago. I think it's 1 wound counts as 2 or something like that. I think it's 1 wound counts as 2. But I used him many moons ago and wasn't overly impressed with him.
He's not stuck in my memory.
So yeah.
60 points. To my, what do you think I can get? 65 points for Ingold?
Yeah.
I think the issue is there's other choices out there.
Go on, Walker. I'd rather have Kyrian.
Does he have to go 2-handed?
I mean, he can strike.
If he wins a 6, he doesn't have to go, oh, okay. Kyrian's one of them again, he'd only fight 4.
Yeah.
I think there's so many. The issue is you got Ingold and Huron.
Yeah.
Ingold is so good in just a block of shields.
Yeah. Ewookie says, any advice for taking on big heroes generally? Do you swarm them or just chuck block them all game? Or is it just purely scenario dependent?
Play the scenario. If the scenarios kill the hero, then you can put resources into him. But most of the time, if it's a really big hero, my army did well because it was triple, double, quadruple threat sometimes. Yeah. So you, one of the tactics is have 2 big heroes because then your opponent may only have planned for the resources for 1 of them. But yet, play the scenario. Yeah. As I said, in a normal tournament weekend, you're only playing 1 mission where it's kill the leader or the leader has to kill you. All the other scenarios are about movement, and it depends on depends on the hero. Would you agree?
I think so. Yeah, I think I used to be a lot more fearful of like big name heroes, like many moons ago. But I think the more you play the game, you kind of realise, and you realise it more by playing using big name heroes.
Yeah.
Because you realise when you use them that actually they're not. Some of them are not as effective as you think they're going to be.
No.
And you always have this thing in your head that they're more effective in someone else's hands, and they're just not. They're going through the same thoughts that you were going through when you try to use a big hero, and you don't want to waste him doing this. You want to make sure you do the exact right thing that you need to do with him in that game at that particular time.
We've all been there where your hero lets you down. I mean, Boromir in that game just then, I think I called 2 heroic combats and bounced off an orc both times. Yeah. Sometimes it's a dice game in the day. That's one of the best things about it. You can plan meticulously, but if you roll 111, you roll 111.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah. If I was really worried about something, I would just feed them something cheap one at a time.
Plan for the
make
average
them use
turn.
might. Make them use might, so because once they're at might as well, they're basically just another model on the table.
Because if they don't get a 6, that's the issue with the Balrog has no might, so when he doesn't get the 6,
he's in trouble.
He's just stopped. He's just a great big roadblock.
Harry Moore says siege weapons are Gully's bane.
Yeah, they are.
Get rid of some of these pop-ups. George Harold says, talking about scenarios, what are your favourite and least favourite? Well, I know my least favourite, so I provide.
Oh, go on.
Recon. I hate it. Hate with a passion.
Recon's a weird one in tournaments because most of the time people draw because it's always just say to your opponent, especially if it happens on day 2 when you're both hungover, you're like, can you be bothered standing up? No, okay, we'll just say it. Maybe I don't know if I have a least favourite.
Really like it. And my favourite, and bearing in mind this is, I've not played a lot of the new ones. I've played 2 new scenarios today, which is more new scenario playage than I've played. But Domination was always my favourite scenario.
Okay, well there's that new one, isn't there? I can't even think what it's called. Kind of like Domination. You've got capture and control.
Yeah.
Very similar.
Yeah.
I like Destroy the Supplies.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. I think my favourite though is still Fog of War.
Fog of War?
Yeah. Mainly because the Iron Hills used to have a lovely trick. That was like dirt, and then another FAQ came and changed it. I just kick a man while he's down.
I just always like Domination. I like the fact that Domination, because again, a lot of my memories of tournament play was from when I was still kind of finding my feet with the rules, and you go through that phase, don't you, where for the first probably 12 months of playing the game, you're playing games, you're just making sure that you're getting the rules right, and then after you sort of nail them and you're not thinking about them, they're not at the forefront of your mind when you're playing, you then start thinking tactically. I
think any scenario for me that doesn't just result in a great big scrap in the middle is a fun scenario, because we've all been there. If you haven't, it is actually quite a nice thing. If you finish your game, just walk up and down the rows, and when you walk past the game where there's models spread over it, it's a proper skirmish, you stop and look because you're like, that looks cool, and you know your opponent's having a fun time because it turns into loads of mini battles. That's cool. When there's just mush, can get a bit samey. Again, really good about the match play guides because you're not going to get all these games.
Exactly.
Haskell's comment.
Michael Haskell says, so that's a good question. Does Carl prefer to know the scenarios ahead in a tournament or not? It's rare for the
tournaments from a former tournament. Gotta lie, I'm really lazy. I've seen Sterling's pack. I've read it once. I'm not going to go back to it. I'm not going to plan. I'll just take what I want. I've got an idea what I want to take to Sterling. It's either both Helm's Deep Legendary Legions, because it's good versus evil. If you rock up with 800 points of, I mean, that just looks cool. Everyone loves Helm's Deep. Or if the Fall of the Necromancer book's out, then I'm just going to take Dol Guldur in White Council and just see how that works.
I reckon it will be, because it's that's the league finale, isn't it? Yeah.
So it's really dependent on what's released, but no, I'm not planning. I prefer the uncertainty, because sometimes when it's like, when you get to that point in the tournament, you know, say it's like the last game, you know who you're playing, you know what army they got, and then you really look at the tier, like, can you just roll already, please? Can you put me out of misery? At the end of the day, we don't like it, but I wouldn't change it.
I quite like that. Sometimes it's happened, and it's quite nice. I mean, don't get me wrong, it doesn't always go this way. It can go against you as much as it can go for you. But I like when you draw an opponent, and it might either be the opponent is a really good player, or the army is quite scary. It's an army that you didn't really want to come up against. You think, oh, flipping it. But then you don't know the scenario, and then they announce the scenario, and you go, actually. And
then it goes,
I'm in it.
Well, I had it at the Masters. The third game was drawn. Storm the Camp. This is before Iron Hills had any FAQs. So 500 points, I think it was Day and 18 guys on a ballista. It was like, yeah, this is solid. Against Jay Clare in his Lake Town, and I was like, oh god, it's Lake Town coming at me. I got a ballista, and he beat me 10-0. I remember standing like, how on earth did I lose that? It can happen. Sometimes you get a scenario and you just get minced.
Yeah. David Fair's says to George, I love any with Maelstrom deployment.
Oh, you're Satan.
Yeah, that's a weird one. I always just makes me feel
Go
a
to
bit
a doctor,
uneasy.
man. No.
But sometimes I've had games with Maelstrom where I've been really happy with the outcome, but yeah, it's just the unknowing.
We'll get any kind of siege engine in Maelstrom's really good because you start on the board.
I'm just going to check. I'm just going to ask now. It's got back on. I do apologise if it's buffering. I'm not sure why, but yeah.
It's all that download you got.
Apologies. We have been using my phone's internet all day. Where
were we?
George Harold says, I don't hold ground, one of my faves, but I don't like command the battlefield.
I can't think what command the battlefield is.
I can't think what it is.
I've got COVID brain, I can't think.
Yeah. Michael Haskell says to George Harold, I love all 6me1s. I think I've played at least 5 of them now. It's great to have something different to think about, keep things fresh. So we agree.
I 100% agree with Mike there.
I think that those, even though I've not played them all, I've read through them and they're very different.
They are, and they change. There's one that's really good where the middle isn't worth anything.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe that is Command the Battlefield actually.
Yeah,
so maybe just because again it's not a slog in the middle. You have to go around the edges.
Yeah. Johnny says, Command the Battlefield versus 58 hobbies at Silver Boys Nightmare.
Maybe that is. Yeah, maybe it is the one.
And Dave says to George, sadly, it's been so long since I played, I couldn't tell you which mission I like and I don't. I'm pretty much a little bit like that. I like them all. Like my least favourite is Recon. I just like playing games, so yeah. Michael says, I do like tournaments which have the odd special one like Imps, and World Champion does them too in his.
Yeah, true. As long as they're not massively game changing.
Yeah, I think as long as they still follow the core mechanics. I think you start messing around mechanics, that's when I kind of got...
I think a 100-point event needs to be about MSBG.
Yes.
Because you've got a top table play game going there to play strategy battle game. Yeah. When you start adding your own house rules, I think an 80-pointer can be whatever you want.
Yeah.
But a 100-pointer, there needs to be a line, and probably the league do regulate it.
Yeah. Well, I think we've said enough even just tonight that the game is very, very well balanced, and I think if you start messing around with that, it can be unfair, like you say, on the players who are more inclined to play on the competitive side and try to achieve more in the league rankings. I know it's not everyone, but I think it's unfair for them if they have to work really hard to get what they get, and then someone rocks up at a tournament that's a bit quirky.
Yeah,
and it's a lot easier for them because of the army they chose.
I don't mean I've got a really good example of that, and it was a great tournament. I don't mean to knock it, but there was because it was around Halloween, so it was really themey. But it was a 100-point event, and I came second in it, and I shouldn't have.
Yeah. Because
of one game where there were these ghosts on the board, and they attacked the nearest guys.
Yeah.
And I had the race to Dol against Ryan Hinch's elves, and he was battering me. Yeah. But those ghosts won me the game.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't have been there because he kicked my ass. He was a better player, just did everything better than me, rolled better than me, kicked my bum. But those ghosts won me the game, and I came second in that tournament. I shouldn't have.
Yeah. That's the kind of thing that I think it's a bit 80-pointer, fine.
Yeah.
Because people know what they're signing up for. But I think 100-pointer, I think they need to stick to the core.
Though I think, as Mike said, I've not been to Imps, but I think I was reading the rule pack the other day, and that's where your leader dies after day one, and you have to say, I really like that. It is a bit interesting because it's not changing any games, it's just day two, you take a different list.
Everyone's going to be thinking, what leader can I bring that I just don't really care about?
Yeah, get rid of him. Assassination is definitely my new favourite scenario, so much fun.
That's why you choose the assassin.
Yeah, we were thinking of that. The only issue we were thinking of that one, weren't we, for the Moria? But you can't choose leaders, and we had obviously Moria, Durbers versus Balin. We're like, it'd be really cool. Obviously, you want to assassinate Balin. Oh wait, you can't choose him. Yeah. That's why we went for Destroy the Supplies.
Yeah. Harry says thanks to Michael Haskell. I think he's giving Imps a big shout out. Big up Imps. I think do let us know, Harry, if there's still tickets available in the chat, and if you're in and around on them dates, then please do get involved.
It'd be interesting to actually see how that goes because it's a tournament I definitely want to go to, but Oh, she may still be watching, but it's my girlfriend's birthday that weekend, so you know.
She'll be alright.
Yeah, I've chosen you. If she's watching, I've chosen you.
She'll be alright. She'll let you go.
Can you cook? Yeah. What I should do is book a weekend away in Lincoln.
Paint her out an army. Take her for a birthday.
God, yeah. And then I'll be single on the Monday.
Nathan T says, I'm still doing it, Nathan. I can't help but call him Nathan T. It's because you've got Nathan T wrote.
Nathan.
Conveniently, another Imps event is coming with those crazy army list rules and altered scenarios. George Harold says, really? Assassination? I'm not a fan. It just seems like a poor man's fog of war.
Can't disagree. Can't disagree with that.
And Harry says to George, yeah, but you don't have to claim any scenery. I prefer killing stuff.
It'd be cool to take what's that orc with the 2 knives who's already an assassin, or the Haradrim assassin. You take them in that scenario. It's like it's pretty cool.
Ewokey says, really, siege weapons are good in Maelstrom? Deploying first is a big disadvantage now. Not necessarily, because
no, I'm going to borrow 2 markers.
It's hard to react to someone's deployment if you don't know where you're going to be coming on, for a start.
So say, for example, heirlooms, can they see this? Whatever, I can't see because it's
I can.
In heirlooms, you deploy things, 12 inches apart?
Yeah.
For example, I used to put the Iron Hills Ballista slap bang. I used to deploy my 2 exactly 12 inches away, deploy the Ballista exactly in the middle, and then deploy 2 guys 6 inches within the Ballista on either one. So before there's any other models on the board, I already know if these 2 are the heirloom or not. And because of the Iron Hills army bonus, I was bringing my army on either on here or elsewhere. It's what you do with the siege weapon. Maybe a small siege engine can't work because you can't really get the 6 inches because they can't leave 6 inches off the. But that, for example, is where I used to take advantage of that. Yeah,
I used to really hate Maelstrom, but then actually playing it, I don't hate it as much. You know, I prefer to choose where I put my army, but you know,
it's one of them. You have to think. Oh, I'm taking Mordor. Is Gurrett's an option because you are playing a Maelstrom mission in a tournament?
Yeah,
is Damrod, not Damrod? What's the name? Madril.
Harry says, is it Command the Battlefield, Cal?
Oh, it is.
Dead centre.
So he's not a fan.
Ewokey says, don't like heirlooms. People just keep their own relocation in their board half, don't dig it up. Can be very stalemate. I think there's a couple like that. And it kind of comes down to that, like who you're playing and what mindset you're both in.
Yeah. For me, it's the fact that you can already be buggered just from the first roll-offs.
Yeah.
Your hero could come on with no mic. That's so important that hero comes on there. So it's almost like, okay, the game's over. Yeah. Or it may not be over. I think no game is automatically over, but you've got a hard slog. Massive disadvantage. Yeah.
Nathan says, I'm not used to trying to random end point games when they just churn on doing very little.
Can be. There's games where they just keep going on, where you really want it to end, or there's games where you win next turn but it ends now.
Yeah.
It can be very frustrating, but again, you have to plan for it. I played Josh DeVoy at my house the other day, and he did everything, and I think it was capture and control, flipped 3, used a lot of might to do it, just flipped 3 objectives in one turn. He goes, hopefully it ends this turn, and I was like, you can gamble, because if it goes on to next turn, you're dead.
Yeah.
You've got no might. And it ended. So I was like, well played. If it went on, I would have absolutely tabled him. But
George completely agrees with Ewok about heirlooms. It's too random in his opinion. I've only played against Smaug once at Recon. I had dwarves as well, few says Michael.
Same here, Michael. I've played Smaug against Recon and I had all mounted dwarves.
I've played Smaug 4 times. Killed it twice and just got
thrown out of the window.
Just wasted 4 hours of my life twice. Gaten says, do you think there is a point level that is more competitive than others?
I'd say lower. I'd say lower points, you've got less models, you have to be very careful with what you're doing with them.
Yeah, because you can lose a handful of models at lower points and like your army's folded.
But at higher points, you've got big heroes and they kind of play themselves.
Yeah.
Or can do.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking people who are very good with heroes, but I think lower points, you've got maybe one big hero, maybe a medium hero, and you've just got less shenanigans.
Yeah.
To do.
Dave Fair says when he's back up north, we'll have to hit us guys up for some games. Yeah,
absolutely, Dave, absolutely.
And he says he likes 750. I like 650.
I like 8.
It's my sweet spot.
You just take you take a good looking army at 8.
Yeah, get all the toys in.
Exactly. Yeah.
Harry says, right chaps, great to dip in for a bit. Love these midweek streams, but the 5 a.m. alarm call is calling. See you soon. Take care, man, and yeah, feel for you in the morning.
Yeah, see you soon, bro.
Nathan says, fix my name for you, Steve. Cheers, buddy. But now I'm just going to call you Nathan. Today, Dave says to Harry, I know that feeling, sadly. And to Nathan says, one of my favourite scenarios, despite the random end, is the four corners alternating deployment. Can be really fun. Is that the one where you've got to sort of take control of your opponent's corner?
Four corners alternating deployment. Yeah, I think so.
You've got to get more people in it or around it.
I think so, yeah.
Like that, yeah. I've only played that one once. Michael says to Gaetan, are you like 700 to 800 point range? Most. I like having the odd 1,000 point or 600 point. It gives variety. I've only ever played one 1,000 point game. One.
What, Throne of Skulls?
No, I didn't. I've not been to 1,000 point Throne of Skulls. I've played it.
Yeah, I saw you at Throne of Skulls.
1,000 points.
2018. I remember because you weren't re-rolling ones on your ballista.
Was that when I
wanted to kind of back game?
Right, yeah. Well, that's why I brought the ballista just to build up the points because just like this is too much, man. It's too much for me. This.
I remember. I wish I went to this tournament. Will had a 1250 points. That's a lot. That's big, right?
Yeah, I'm not down with that.
There's a 900 point event I'm going. Is it this weekend? Is it 900 points? I think it is.
Could be 900 points. You never see them.
So you've seen unnumbered tiers. It's like 797 points. It's actually really awkward.
I think Scarron's 700, so you'll see a couple of smiles there, no doubt.
Yay!
I always think I think people have not learned yet that you're not going to get very far with Smart. People don't have to
not
play
with the
now.
scenarios how they are. No.
People don't have to play it now. It's a lovely model. Absolutely love it.
It's gorgeous.
Can't wait to finish painting that. I can't wait to film some battle reports with it on the Lake Town board, but
it's not fitting on there.
I
wouldn't take it off the base.
I wouldn't take it to an event, and I detest playing against it. It's just not fun. Maelstrom missions need perhaps a little adjustment. Battle report that was basically won in turn one. It can happen, but then at the same time, I've got to say, was that the case because the person who lost chose not to use might on deployment?
Good question.
Because if he decided to hoard his might and just play with the cards he was dealt, then more for him.
Yeah, I think it depends. If your army really hinges on coming on together, it's worth the might.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Gaetan agrees with Michael. Agree on that variety. My point was more like, is there any competitive? Is an army competitive at any point level? I think it changed. We touched on this before. I think it totally changes as you go in points as to which lists will give you the most benefits.
It's not a black and white question. It's not yes or no.
Yeah.
It depends on the scenario.
Yes.
You can win a game at 200 with Iron Hills, but then get smashed in another one because you've only got 3 models.
Yes. Yeah. Glenn says, Nathan, is that because Khan Chariots ignored a loophole with Maelstrom?
Oh, if Josh is listening, I'll ask him.
What do they? Have they got?
They got Trample. They got like a lesser version of Trample, 2 dice, strength 4. But I can't think. Put what loophole you're on about.
Yeah, let us know what loophole, Glenn, because we're not overly clued up.
Or if Josh DuBois is listening, put what loophole.
My first game in this edition was 1,500 points.
He's still playing it.
Jesus.
1,500 points.
When he's scouring. Scouring is November 6th and 7th. It's sold out, but you are more than welcome to come down, Dave, and hang out. It'll be a lot of fun. And that invite is to anyone who wants to come down and hang out over the weekend. Although the weekend is about the event and the players, I think there's enough there, and we have enough of a laugh over the scouring weekends for people just to come.
It's Saturday night element.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
I've got. We're gonna have a quiz as per usual. We're gonna do some stuff. There's a bar on site.
When Steve says a quiz, it's just going to be from the trivia, right?
Was you at the last scouring?
Yeah, where you were just reading from what is it? What's that game called? Trivia something. Trivial Pursuit. You were just reading from Trivial Pursuit cards.
I had a book, and yeah, I got some questions from Trivial Pursuit cards. But I also caught out Jay with the question for. Do you remember when I put? Which blister has all the logos on it?
Oh,
Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, and
that was the ring bearers, right?
It was the invisible ring bearers, yeah. The only blister to have all 3 logos on it.
Because I think we said it was Bard, Legolas, and Tariel.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. I need to write a quiz, actually. So yeah, you're more than welcome to come down, my friend.
Roughly into greater 1,000 points. Jesus.
I think anything's greater than 1,000 points.
That's an hour return movement.
Oh, yeah. We caught up on the questions. Please keep questions coming, and please do let us know, like we said, if there is a profile that you would change, or ask us anything. It doesn't really matter. That's what Speed Friend is about. We're just here to hang out and have some fun. We do have some questions that we can go to that we'd like to sort of give you our opinions and flip the tables and ask you guys in the chat.
So basically get the can of worms and open it.
Yes, and see where we go. So the thing is, I think it's a good question, this, because I think we've coming out of a period where there's not been any events.
No, not really.
But we've had some new releases. We've had some FAQs.
We've had like 1 or 2 events, but it's not been, I wouldn't say well attended, but it's not been very competitive, really, because not everybody can still attend.
Yeah, and we were wondering, like, is there currently a meta at the moment, do you think, or can you see a meta forming in the game, or is the game that well balanced that there isn't one?
My opinion is, I don't know what the meta is at the moment. I couldn't say, but I think it will change into a list with shenanigans. You have to, because if you go into a 2-day event, you're playing one of each scenario, one of each, a pool. You have to have an army that can do all of that. For example, Dunland.
Yep.
Dunland are great. I think they really are. They've got Kalman who can do a lot of things. Spider Queen's another one. Warhammer another one. You need a bit of everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that is going to be the meta. It's not going to be my army does this and that's it.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to win 1 out of 5 games. You're not, but you get the point.
Yeah. I think I remember having this conversation a while ago, actually. I think it was on the last Speak Friend when we thought we were coming out of COVID and then got sucked back into it.
COVID.
And it was a similar question, and I can remember asking this question, and I'm sure it was to Will. And I think Will said that there isn't a meta at the moment, and he doesn't think there will be one.
Will is very good at just seeing a meta and going, "Oh, I'm going to change that." Will is he's an incredibly skilled player who just picks up. He just goes, "I'm just going to close his eyes, write our list, and go, okay, let's go with that," and then do really well. I think it was your event, the finale.
All right.
It was the day War in Rohan came out.
Right, I remember that.
But they had already released, I think, a picture of the Helm's Deep Legendary Legion a week before. So Will took a photo of that, took that army. You allowed it, and then I think came second, didn't he? It's testament.
It was
to
legal
his player
at the
ability.
weekend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But no, I can't. Yeah, I see where he's coming on about, because all the 6 scenarios are so different. One standard format can't do it anymore.
No.
I think it is testament to the Middle Earth team to bring out Match Play Guide. It's probably the best book they've brought out since the new edition. For
competitive
it's
players.
So crucial. It's about as important as Legions was back in the day. It's changing everything.
Yeah.
But for the better.
Yeah. I think we'd struggle to get a meta in the sense that we think of a meta now.
There's not going to be like it was in the old edition. I've got evil, so I'll take a Fellbeast.
Yeah.
I've got good, so I'll take Saruman.
Yeah, Ring Race and Shelob.
Yeah. I'll take this.
I don't think.
I still think Spider Queens might be dropped in a few lists, but
I think that it's like you say, it's armies with shenanigans. So Moria being able to take spiders as an alliance.
With Hugabugga Wood.
Yeah, with
Druzag. No,
not Druzag. Spiderkin, whatever his
name
is.
Druzag?
No.
Durzag. Somebody begins with
Druzag Beastcaller is the bat and wolf one.
Yeah, he's the one that can take spiders.
I thought it was the other guy with the little spider stick.
That's Ashrak. He just poisons you.
Oh, is he just poison?
Yeah.
Does he not make them venom back though?
I think if you hit him, you get poison on a 4+ or something.
I'm sure he makes spiders venom back though.
Maybe he's not as good, because obviously the other one enrages them and turns a spider into a grok.
Yeah. But yeah, stuff like that's going to be really popular.
Again, I do think Dunland are one to watch. Genuinely. When everything reopens and we got tournaments every week and got players Dunland are going to be one to watch. Krebine are really good, because say if Krebine is running at your objective, what you're going to do, shoot it. You're hitting on 6s.
Yeah.
You're going to catch it. With what? It's moving 12.
Yeah.
It's something like that. You put Krebine in front. Again. I think they're solid.
Yeah. Yeah. It could have been a good. Damien's got that.
You've got that hero who just, again, how do you deal with a big hero? I'll send in this guy who calls a free heroic defense every time. Just, I'm going to hold you up the entire game.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you guys think about the meta? Is there a list that you've looked at and you thought, that's just going to clean up? You know, is there a list that you've played against that you think that, or have you got a list in mind? Do let us know. Archon reveals. I've spoken about this quite in depth at different times. What are your thoughts on the reveals?
I'm pumped. Fall of the Necromancer was my favourite of the old releases. I still remember that weekend vividly. The Chester GW store had a paint competition for the new plastic elves. Everyone was like, oh, plastic elves. Even the one whose face just melted into the arm. Back then, everyone was pumped for it. Yeah. And obviously that White Council box, you know, it made everybody cheat on their girlfriends that night, didn't it? It was just like, oh, look at that. And yeah, it was the first time really White Council, obviously there's no hint of it in the movies. Yeah. It's only in the books or when you've got a fan of SBG seeing it. So I think I've got a lot of nostalgia for that book with this one. Yeah. Also, obviously, we've got the movie to back it up. So I'm very looking forward to that. Obviously, the new terrain is awesome.
Yeah, terrain's class. It's the fact that we didn't just get one piece of new terrain, we got two.
Oh, the Amon.
That was just like, I know what?
Don't spoils, but the Witch King as well, though.
Yep.
That Witch King on foot, it's exactly the same as stayed and mounted. It's just taking a screenshot of that clip in the movie and just 3D printing it.
Yeah, I agree. It's straight out.
Whoever sculpted that, I don't know if they said Archon. Okay, it was, but my God, it's like, how do you sculpt something that accurate? It's you know that bit where the Witch King just turns around and then the next shot is just of the boats coming in. It's literally just, you're like, hello, perfect.
It was really good. For me, I'm hyped about the terrain. Obviously hyped about the supplements we spoke about. And that's the other thing. Not only did we get one piece of terrain, we got two terrain kits. We had no inkling. Everyone was expecting
Defense of the North,
although we didn't think it was going to be like War in the North. Defense of the North. That was the book that everyone was like, yeah, that's what's coming because of the releases we had, the rumours that are going around. And the Fall of the Necromancer was just like come straight out of left field, like no one's seen it coming. Correct
me if I'm wrong, did Jay say it's only come about because how COVID changed things? They had time to work on it.
They had a window.
Which I'm not going to say there's a silver lining to COVID, that's an insult, but it's a nice thing to come out at the end of it. And that terrain kit, they said it's got the most. Well, I know the Witch King has like 21 components. Like it's a massive kit batch. You're going to have spare models. You're probably going to be able to convert another one, aren't you? But the actual Dol Guldur ruins, they're meant to be so unique. You can really make a board out of them, apparently.
You can change them. So, I mean, I've already planned, we were talking about today, the board that I'm going to make. I already know what it's going to look like.
Just so long as I'm playing on it with you.
I just cannot wait. It's actually, I'm glad that they announced it when they did, because that was the next board that I was going to start putting together.
And with the Wetter centerpiece.
Yeah, so I've got the courtyard from Wetter, so I'm going to use that, sink it into a board, and I can't wait. It's going to be shit up. But the announcements were great. Really happy with them. Went in there expecting the supplement announcement and maybe the odd picture of a model. So the fact that we got so much more was really, really satisfying. And
I mean, I know we're not getting any new models for the Necromancer. We don't really need them. I was interested to see if you get a Necromancer one, but how on earth do you model that?
Yeah, I thought that.
Here's a ball of smoke.
But then you see some of the models that they're bringing out for like iOS and 40K.
But apparently there's a really cool paint. I'm sure they said there's an incredible painting guide to how to paint the Necromancer in that fiery kind of bursting out. So that's going to be interesting.
We'll see.
Defense of the North, though.
Defense of the North?
Again, still speculation, which was, I was hoping, Archon were going to answer that. No. Oh, and the biggest letdown was there's probably going to be no tournaments at Warhammer this year.
Did they confirm that?
Yeah, I think he said it's probably... I don't think they confirmed it, but the likelihood is...
It's not going to happen.
Next year.
It is what it is. It means next year there's a lot to look forward to. It is what it is. You can't play. It is what COVID's COVID.
2020, 2021, they're just write-offs, unfortunately, for the league.
Yeah.
Go, just enjoy what you can, and then 2022, hopefully we just get back into it.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Everyone will be double jobbed by then. We'll hopefully be on top of things, and
Just see what the winter holds, and then
I think after seeing, because I went to Archon on Saturday night to see everybody and watch the seminar. And after every seminar that I've been to, I think I've been to them all, even the events that I don't go, even the Warhammer World events that I don't go to as events, I've gone on the Saturday night just to say hello to everyone, have a drink with everyone.
I've started doing that.
See the seminar, because it's just for me, it's about a 2-hour drive, but it's well worth it.
That's what tournaments are. There's more of a social aspect.
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
For me, anyway, I'm kind of taking my foot off the competitive side. I wanted to see, because I was very new to the scene, how hard I can go, how early, basically. Make a name for myself, and then just be like, cool, bye. Yeah. Now I'm just going to go to what I enjoy, and I've made friends that are that good of friends that I know I can just rock up and just pick up where you left off.
Just hang out. Yeah. It's you come away from the seminars. I feel feeling positive that the hobby that you love is in very good hands.
Oh, absolutely. You look like at Ardacon, the passion they had on that stage. Jay and Rob, they ooze. You know they're fans of Middle Earth.
It's really nice, and for anyone who is new to coming into the hobby, or has been out of the hobby for a while and is just coming back, these are guys who were members of this community before they were part of the Middle Earth team, so it couldn't be in better hands. I'm just really happy with
it. It's really exciting time.
We could all sit here and say, I want this, and I want this, and I want this.
I would say about the Witch King, but at the end of the day, the Witch King's still good. He's still terrifying. It's just me going, I think this.
It was a couple of years. It was pre-COVID, and I remember just sort of really looking forward to something coming out, and then when it didn't, I think it was AMA. When it didn't, like I joked about it with
AMA, they really kept under wraps.
I joked about it like with Damien and stuff, and I was like, I can't believe it. But,
and then was it Treebeard they brought out before him, and you're like, where the hell? I just remember thinking, like, where is this? And at the moment, it's how long ago did they bring out the new Dane and Thor in Stonehelm? And you're like, all right, where's the book? Where's the book, guys? Where's the book?
I think COVID's messed up a lot of like the release schedule, but I don't mind now. So I don't mind when things. It doesn't bother me that we're not getting new things all the time.
There's teasing you, and then there's tying you down on the bed and leaving you for 3 days. It's like, come on, guys, I want to get down.
One is an arrestable offence. Can we just say disclaimer?
Only if you don't consent.
Sometimes I do. But it's in very, very good hands. I'm really happy about it. We'll jump back in the chat before we go to that. So the chat doesn't run away from us. I'm just trying to find where we were up to.
There was one thing about the Ardacon reveal that I can't remember what it was. That was last thing. White Council, Legendary Legion, 800 points, 5 models. How on earth is that going to work? Cannot wait to read.
Do you reckon that it'll be something like you'll be a lot? Do you reckon it will only be the White Council as we know, or like the other things will be in there?
I think, as Jay said, it's just 5 models. So you got 3 wizards, Elrond and Galadriel at 800 points. And he said, though, I remember he said, we've made it competitive, or we've made it good enough 800. But how on earth? You got 3 wizards with 1 attack each. I really want to see how this is going to go. Can't wait to read that.
Definitely be interesting. Dayface says, I normally come visit your event if I can, even if I'm not playing. Good man. Glenn says, basically, you normally can't charge coming onto the board. I think he means on Maelstrom. The bat rep Nathan is talking about 2 chariots trampled into the betrayal.
So trampling it's not charging.
Yes.
It's another trick is in, you cause terror, cool, I'll trample you, because even if I don't kill you, I still charge. I don't have to take a terror test. It's things you pick up. A mummock can just walk on a board and go, oh, are you there? Hello.
Yeah.
But one thing about Maelstrom, Charcut's Wargs, Legendary Legion. That's hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious. Watch that back yesterday, brutal.
Ewok says, how do you improve as a player for events?
Practice. Go to as many events as possible and practice.
Yeah.
Just because, I don't know how to word it. When you practice at home with your mate, unless you like draw armies out of a hat, most of the time you kind of subconsciously, I'm playing dwarfs, right, I'll just take this.
Yeah.
Or something like that. When you go to an event, you don't know who you're playing, you don't know what you're playing, you don't know how you're playing it. You just do it. And the more events you go to, it's just practice. If you're a fan of an army, but it's just not working for you, practice with it, change it up, just see if you can start to iron things out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because remembering little rules, like re-rolling 1s for the army bonus of Durin's Folk. Or +1 courage when you outnumber. We forgot about the Mordor outnumbering, didn't we? Rerolling 1s. It's stuff like that. So just practice. So that the point is, when your opponent asks you a question about your army, you don't need the book.
Yeah. Another thing that I used to do And I'm nowhere near like a proficient event player. Like I really just I'm not in that headspace to be that. But when I was first going to events, it used to really annoy me when I played games and forgot them simple things. Forgot my banner. Forgot I had my banner.
Yeah.
You know, forgot the little rules about I've not broken or you stand fast. I'd have a card.
Yeah.
And I'd always put it down in front of me, and I'd make sure every turn I went through the things that I was supposed to remember.
I think Michael Haskell, correct me if I'm wrong, don't you have... Sure, he has a piece of paper in front of him.
Yeah.
I remember having practice games in Chester with him, and he's always got it there. So correct me if I'm wrong if that's not you, Michael. Yeah. Biggest one, Lords of Battle, you get a mic point back when you go. Everyone forgets that.
Yeah. Write these things down. So a good thing is to print off like the scenario sheets or your army list and laminate them and write the things down so you can tick things off. And don't feel weird about having like these noob aids, if that's what you want to call it. Like
it's a lot to remember.
It is a lot to remember.
I'd say little tricks of the trade as well. Because it's something I need to work on. I've lost games. I told you earlier today. I've lost 2 tournaments because I didn't have my opponent's army in front of me. And when they've done something, I was like, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
I would have planned for that.
Yeah.
My fault, 100% my fault. It's my responsibility, or it's your responsibility to know your opponent's army.
Yeah.
It's not your opponent's responsibility to tell you what it does.
Yeah. When you get a draw for your next round, round 2, round 3, have a look at what army they've got and just flip through your army book and have a quick look at the heroes and what they can do and the army special rule. Just see.
Maximise your special strikes. Know that.
Don't
work with that.
concentrate too much on it, because by concentrating too much on what their army can do, you're not thinking about what your army can do. But it's just like the bullet point things.
It's just knowing it.
Like this army won't break at 50%, or they're not classed as broken, or whatever. But just familiarise yourself.
A great example of that is the tournament I just went at Rebel Base Gaming. And I'm sure the player I played against, I can't remember his name. I'm so sorry. But he was phenomenal. Amazing game. Amazing final game. It was a game for the tournament. And he had Dalané with his bombs and I had Balin. And I knew what the bombs did, but I didn't realise, I forgot I could use will. And I used all my will trying to re-roll priority. Where in hindsight, I'm keeping 1 will.
Yeah.
My fault.
Yeah.
100% my fault. And it cost me. He killed Balin. And it's like, fair play. Yeah. Well played indeed. So it's just knowing those crucial bits. But again, for me, it was practice.
Yeah, just practice an army. Yeah. If you're like me and you jump in and out of armies, you're going to find it tough.
Or if you struggle with a scenario.
Yeah.
Call your mate, can we play the scenario, please?
Yeah. To Nathan says, in all honesty, the first player did make some errors knowing the chariots were coming. That's the thing.
Canned chariots are a weird one though, because I've played a lot of Josh as well, because Josh is a very prolific canned player. And they either go through you or they just bounce off.
Yeah.
They've got very durability as well. They're such a weird little thing, because you have to roll in the waves when you're in combat with them, and on a 5 or 6 you hit the rider. It's like they can survive an absolute battering because the chariot takes the hits.
Yeah.
Interesting models.
Yeah. Scott Newman says, loving the stream, got the hobby mojo going. That's good to hear, my friend. Good to hear. My hobby mojo's
have to pay for
roof at the minute. Yeah. I was up last night painting, because we were going to do an Am and Hen scenario, play it out and film it, but I didn't have enough scouts.
Just one that's going to come up in future.
I started painting them last night, and I was painting that, and I was painting Ashrak, Spider King, and I was like, what am I doing? It was like 11 o'clock at night. I was thinking, and that's when I was like, I'm not going to get these painted. So.
Well, I've been working. I was the same last night. My partner was coming in, and she was like, "How's it going?" Because I'm trying to work out. I think this was the 3rd practice attempt on a Minas Morgul base. So I'm going to base my 9 on Minas Morgul, and I want glowing through the cracks. Obviously, great glowing green. Very hard to achieve. I'm down 3 bases now practicing. But I think the picture I showed you, I think that's what I'm going to go for. Maybe a bit, as you said, a bit higher up the edges. But I think I'm there.
You know what I thought? And I thought of it whilst we were playing, because my mind went back to the conversation. You know what would be bad? If you asked Matt very nicely to do some of them bases in clear resin and painted them, but used very thin, almost transparent green paint in the cracks, put a green LED in the bottom. Like grind it out and put a green LED.
Do I look like a YouTuber that's got so much time?
I did it with my King. So my King of the Dead glows green on the inside through his
yeah, that's cool.
It's quite easy. It's not that.
I think it would look so cool, because my argument is the first time you ever see the 9 ever in movie is them riding out on Minas Morgul. Very iconic shot. I wanted to replicate that, and I think it would look quite cool. We'll see how it works.
Yeah.
More practice.
Do you just have one strategy, or do you evolve depending on your opponent? Says Gaetan.
Oh, good question. Depending on your opponent.
I think Carl will probably give you a far better answer than I would. I think it does depend on your opponent, because you might go into the game with a strategy, and depending on the skill level of your opponent, they might very early on work out what your strategy is by the moves that you make, and will scupper that early on, and then you've got to change.
There's a fine line there. We all know players who will, if they think they're playing somebody you new, take advantage of that. But I think to answer your question, the fairest way is, if you know you're playing against a very skilled opponent, have a backup plan, because they will. Your plan A won't work. Yeah. They know what your plan A is. So have a plan B. That's the only. I can't think how else you'd play it. I'd say that also goes to any opponent. The great thing about tournaments is you could rock. You're a player. Opponent could sit down. You've never heard their name before, and you're like, "Sweet, got this in the bag, newbie," and they kick you up and down the road. It's all. We've all been there. So it's just. All I'd say is you have maybe a plan A, plan B, plan C.
Totally agree. David Face says, start aiming to finish the game in the set time limit. Yeah, that is a very good point, Dave.
The amount of games that have ended on time.
Yeah.
Countless.
It always feels like you've got far more time than you actually have.
Yeah, because the last 20 minutes goes.
Yeah, turns in this game take a long time. If you think about it, say a general game, 500-600 points. At 2 hours, you're lucky to get 7-8 turns.
Yeah, especially if you've got a lot of combat.
Yeah, if it's Horde armies, even less. But generally, I'd say I always think you're going to get about 7 turns if you got about 2 hours. If you got less, then even less, maybe 5-6 turns. And I did it. We both did it today. We didn't leave ourselves enough time. To actually play the scenario and get the objectives that we wanted to get. And you can easily think in your head, it's all right because I'll get another 3 turns in. But you're expecting them 3 turns to go exactly the way you foresee them going, and the amount of time
you have to incorporate that. The amount of times I'll smash this warband quickly. 3 turns later, why am I still here?
Yeah, you're still there, and that's it. Scuppered. I've not been able to get the objective. So the time limit is a really good point.
It's a tactic. I know there's an opinion. Sometimes you can choose. You maybe have a really hard scenario matchup. So that may be a tactic to play to time. I don't mean slow play, but I mean if it's recon, for example, and you got or something. Just a quick example, and you know you can't get off the board, then just hold them off for 2 hours. I think I did that against Barney at the one where you had to kill all the heroes. Is it Clash by Moonlight? Wasn't exactly. It was top table, so it had to be played like that. But it wasn't exactly a fun play experience. I just castled in a corner with Iron Hills and just waited out that time just so he couldn't kill him. I knew if he could get my heroes he'd kill him. So it was with Swiss Army Mario, with the spider and stuff, and I was like, I'll just have to wait for that clock to I won't slow play. But I'm not going at him.
There's different ways to play a game basically, and you've got
it's another tactic.
But that comes with experience in tournament play for sure. We've actually been going an hour and 45 minutes. Weirdly enough. So I'm going to get through the last few. If you've got any questions, get them in the chat now. We're going to save our other subjects for another stream. So if you've got any questions, get them in now. We'll try to answer. If we say we're going to go to 10.
Fine.
It's another 15 minutes. Ethan says, what tip would you give an average player to improve their game? I think practice was...
we haven't read the rundown.
No. I keep not using them on the highlight. Glyn says it was just disgusting drill, as was the first game, Rivendell versus the Ballista.
Can happen. Ballista can either rock up or it won't. It'll turn up.
We said it was shooting in general. It's either shit or shit. There's no middle ground with it. Doesn't ever do.
But you always remember the shit ones because negativity always remember. But you don't remember the games where you just kind of just leaf blowed your opponent off the board.
Gaten says, what tip would you give to an average player to improve the game? I think practice.
Going to tournaments was huge for me because it's like going to swim in the deep end. You just improve really quickly because if you play the same person over and over again, you're not really practicing because you know your opponent. You're not really trying to have things when you're
practicing to beat that opponent.
But when you play other opponents, it's mainly picking up tips from more experienced opponents, seeing what they do and being like, bloody hell, that's a good tactic. I never thought to do that. Or just another one, if you've been soundly kicked, or even if you've soundly kicked them, just ask. Mainly when you've lost, ask your opponent what you could have done better.
Yeah,
what could I have done there to beat you?
Yeah, well, I used to say, I used to say when you looked at my army, what were your initial thoughts at the beginning of this game?
Question. Yeah.
When we set up, what was your tactic, and did you end up playing that through, kind of thing? I used to always ask that, just so I knew. You kind of gauge then. I soon realised that a Gondor army wasn't intimidating to anyone. No, Faramir is the main leader.
The only thing that's intimidating about Gondor is Boromir there waving his banner, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
But that's just Boromir.
And then you only bring like 3 Minister of Warriors.
Oh yeah, I'll have that.
Frederick says to Ewok, practice, play against different armies, play different scenarios, play with different armies yourself. Listen to all the competitive SBG podcasts, Green Dragon, DC Hobbit League, our American friend DC Hobbit League is another one. Etc. Yeah, very good advice. There's loads of. We're very lucky now. Back in the day, when I started out with Top Table, there wasn't many Middle Earth kind of content creators, and we're a spot for choice now, I think, which is good. It's always good to have them different opinions, and it's good for.
There was a few blogs back then, I seem to remember.
Yeah,
it's evolved into actually streaming content.
Well, the GBHR podcast was the only one at one stage, and then the DC Hobbit League come, and then all the other little offshoots started. I started Top Table. The reason I started Top Table was to cover other systems, but obviously the only game I knew about was Middle Earth, so it soon became a Middle Earth channel, which in hindsight I'm glad that it did. It's not solely Middle Earth now, but it will always be 70% Middle Earth. It always will be, because it's the game that I love, and it's the game that I'll always come back to. So yeah, there's loads of content out there, and it's great for content creators that there is so much content out there, because I never used to have content to watch except my own, which is really bobbins. When you watch yourself, it's just like, oh, cringe.
You're not really learning.
Who is this guy? You can stop eating pies. Destro says, is Elrond and Rivendell Knights still the closest to meta? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
I think Riv Knights have. I think Riv Knights are.
I think I agree with what you said about Will's statement before. That there's not going to be a set meta. They're good.
Yeah.
Rivendell Knights, 20 points a model? Yeah. They're still really good, but again, Rivendell Knights are a weird one, because people go, oh, they're broken and stuff like that. Put that army in the hands of a player who doesn't know what they're doing with it. And just watch how badly it does. It's works on their tools.
Yeah. Glenn's telling us goblin names because we couldn't remember. Ashrak, Druzag. They can both take spiders.
Okay.
So I think
Druzag's the one you want because he's the one that makes them good.
Yeah, I think he's the one that has the Mad Fury thing. But I think Ashrak can be Venom Bat for free.
Venom Bat for free, right? Okay.
Something like that.
That rings a bell.
Frederick says to Destro, Lady Light is meta with some kind of random semi-elite spam army.
That's old meta, I would say. Very few people took it. It's always going to be a type of list, don't get me wrong. Somebody is always going to rock up with an army of, I've got these troops and I've got Lady Light. Yeah. And I've got Boromir of Gondor on a horse because he's a rocket sausage. He's just like, not going to be meta though. I don't think that's meta.
No. You're right, it's very good. Nathan says, I've been to 3 events this summer. The bottom tables are brilliantly varied at the moment, which is largely the meta I focus on. It's so nice playing 6-7 games and not coming up against repeats. That's I suppose it's really good, because there is more lists now.
To say, yeah.
There's more lists now that are appealing.
We said it earlier today. Yeah. You're seeing armies.
Yeah.
Going back to the previous comment, Lady Light with a random elite spam army. It doesn't look good.
No.
It doesn't. You're not like, oh, I remember that bit in the movie where Galadriel's there back in Gondor up going, ooh, it's cool. Yeah. But you walk down the tournament and you look and you go, that looks sick.
Thematic. You're seeing thematic armies. You're seeing...
How many display boards are you seeing nowadays at tournaments because... Yeah.
It's just far better. The game's in such a better place. Ewok says, Spider Queen is too good, man. Spider Queen is good.
She's very good, but she can't go with anybody else, so it's like, take her in spiders, that's it.
She's definitely a hard kill, Destro says to Frederick. I think it's about Lady Light. I can attest to the Druzag spider combo, yes.
It's terrifying if used properly.
I've used it
terrifying.
in the past. Michael says, few tournaments recently, some